So you can spend a lot of money on a top tier gaming monitor. We're talking over $1,000 for something that promises a revolutionary experience, often for a price that could get you a whole new PC. But what if you could get, say, 90% of that top-end experience for just a fraction of the cost? This right here is a monitor that claims to do just that. For around $300, it's packing features that, until recently, were reserved for much more expensive displays. Today we're going to see if that claim holds up. This is the AOCCQ 32G3SE, and we're going to put it through its paces to see if it really is the new champion for budget gaming on both PC and console. We'll get it unboxed, check it out, test it thoroughly, and by the end, you'll know if this is the monitor that finally makes high-end gaming accessible for everyone. Alright, so let's have a look at the specs, because on paper, for this sort of price, they are actually quite impressive. The AOC CQ32G3SE sits around that $300 mark, though you can often find it for a little less. And for that, you're getting a 31.5-inch curved gaming monitor with a QHD resolution of 2560 by 1440. For a long time, 1080p was what we expected from a budget setup. Moving up to 1440p is a lovely jump in sharpness and detail without needing an incredibly powerful PC to run it. But that's just for starters. This out of the box is, thankfully, incredibly simple. AOC has made it very straightforward. Everything is packed nice and securely, and they include both an HDMI and a DisplayPort cable right in the box, which is a lovely touch. You'll want to use that DisplayPort cable to make sure you're getting the full 165Hz refresh rate. As for the assembly, it's one of the quickest I've ever done for a monitor this size. You just attach the base to the arm, which is already on the monitor, with a single tool-free thumb screw. I went from a sealed box to having it on the desk in just a couple of minutes. Once it's all set up, it's a nice looking monitor. It's got this three-sided frameless design with very thin bezels, which is great if you ever plan on running a multi-monitor setup. The black and red aesthetic is a classic gamer look, and the whole thing feels surprisingly solid. What's also nice is the matte anti-glare finish on the panel itself, which is a huge help for cutting down on reflections. However, there is one area where you can immediately see where costs were saved, and that's the stand. Now it's perfectly solid and holds the 32-inch panel well with no wobble, but it only offers tilt adjustment. There's no way to adjust the height or swivel it left and right. For some people, that might be a deal breaker, but for a monitor that's trying to offer so much performance for the price, it feels like a reasonable compromise. Okay, let's get into the panel technology for a moment. This is a VA or vertical alignment panel. To put it simply, VA panels are known for their excellent contrast. This means your blacks look genuinely black instead of a washed out gray. That makes everything, especially darker games and films, look really rich and immersive. With its 31.5-inch size and 1440p resolution, we're looking at a pixel density of around 93 pixels per inch. In practice, that means text and images are nice and sharp, very similar to what you'd see on a 24-inch 1080p monitor, which is a very popular and comfortable setup for many. It's not going to be as razor sharp as a more expensive 27-inch 1440p display, but it's a really nice balance between immersive size and good clarity. For connectivity, you have two HDMI 2.0 ports, one DisplayPort 1.2 port, and an audio out jack for your headphones or speakers. And you will need it, as there are no built-in speakers here. Another classic cost-saving measure. There's no USB hub either, so you won't be plugging your peripherals directly into the monitor. The on-screen menu is controlled by a set of buttons on the bottom right. It's a standard AOC menu, giving you access to different game modes for FPS or racing, which mainly adjusts the overdrive settings. It's all very straightforward and easy to navigate. So specs on a sheet are one thing, but how does this monitor actually feel to game on? I tried out a bunch of PC games, and this is where it really comes to life. First, I jumped into some fast-paced shooters. In games like Fortnite, that 165Hz refresh rate is a genuine game changer if you're coming from 60Hz. is not just a small improvement, it transforms the experience. Aiming is so much more fluid, tracking targets feels easier, and everything is just more responsive. Hitting anywhere from 120 to 165 frames per second is just silky smooth, with no input lag that I could perceive. That's all helped by AMD FreeSync Premium. I tested it on both AMD and NVIDIA GPUs, and G-Sync compatibility worked perfectly, which meant I had a completely tear-free and smooth experience. For competitive gaming on a budget, having this combination is a real advantage that used to cost so much more. Now, what about motion clarity? This monitor has a 1 millisecond MPRT response time, which is achieved through backlight strobing. In the menu, this is called your overdrive setting. If you set it to strong, you get the sharpest possible motion, but you might notice a little bit of inverse ghosting. I found the medium setting was the perfect balance, giving great clarity with almost no visual downsides. Of course, it's not going to compete with a high-end OLED panel, but for a budget VA monitor, it performs much better than you'd expect. In that 1000R curve, on a smaller monitor, a curve can feel a bit like a gimmick, but on a 32-inch screen, it's genuinely brilliant. It subtly wraps the image around your peripheral vision, pulling you into the game and making the whole world feel that much bigger. Just quickly, I'd love to know what you're all gaming on at the moment. Drop a comment down below and let me know if you're on PC, PS5, or Xbox, and what monitor or TV you're using. It's always interesting to see what setups everyone has. Okay, so after all of that, let's break it down. Who is this monitor actually for? First, the good things. The value for money here is just brilliant. You're getting a huge, immersive, high-resolution screen with a fast 165Hz refresh rate and great adaptive sync for a budget-friendly price. The deep contrast makes games look fantastic. The 1000R curve really works, and the setup is incredibly easy. For the price, the core gaming experience you get is phenomenal. Now for the not so good things. To get to that price, compromises had to be made. The stand has no height or swivel adjustment. There are no speakers built in. The HDR performance is, to be honest, quite weak. And while the motion clarity is very good for a budget VA, it isn't perfect, and you can get some minor smearing on the most aggressive overdrive settings. Finally, the pixel density is good, but it won't be as tack sharp as what you'd get from a smaller 1440p monitor. So who should buy this? If you're putting together your first gaming PC setup and you're on a tight budget, this monitor delivers a premium feeling experience without the premium cost. If you're a console gamer who wants to finally upgrade from a 60Hz TV to high refresh rate gaming, this is one of the best and most affordable ways to do it. And if you're a parent looking for a monitor for your kid that will absolutely be a huge upgrade without costing a fortune, this is an easy choice. So at the start of all this, I asked if a $300 monitor could really change everything. And the answer is, yeah, in a way, it does. Look, it isn't a perfect monitor. It doesn't have the flawless motion handling of a $1,000 OLED or the premium materials and finish of a flagship display. But what it does offer is a genuinely high performance, immersive QHD gaming experience at a price that makes it accessible to almost everyone. It really delivers on that initial promise of getting you most of the way to a premium experience for a fraction of the cost. The AOC CQ32 G3 SE isn't just good for the money. It's a genuinely great monitor. It proves you don't have to choose between resolution, refresh rate, and your wallet anymore. For any budget-conscious gamer, whether on PC or console, this is an absolute easy recommendation. It completely resets what you should expect from a budget gaming monitor.